Welcome back to Hayes' Hard Drive. It's an absolute pleasure to introduce today's special guest. He wrote and sang How Long, the much-covered 1974 classic from his days with Ace, and was the voice of Tempted from his tenure with the band Squeeze. Then came such hits with Mike and the Mechanics as the Grammy-nominated The Living Years and Over My Shoulder. The latter he wrote with Mike Rutherford, not to mention that another co-write, Love Will Keep Us Alive, was covered by the Eagles and won a hugely prestigious ASCAP award as Song of the Year. The BBC dubbed him the man with the golden voice, Mr. Paul Carrack. Welcome, Paul.
Hello, man. How are you doing?
I am wonderful. Thank you for taking out a portion of your day to come and speak with me.
It's a pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Yeah.
I want you to go back through and look at the body of work that you have produced. Does it seem like you've been doing this for 50 years?
Well, sometimes it does. Other times it seems like yesterday. It's funny because I've always felt that I need to be doing something more, that I can do more. So even though I'm at this advanced age, and as you say, been doing this for 50 years or whatever, I still feel that, I want to keep going and trying to do the next best thing.
Some 50 years ago, maybe a little bit more, what was the driving force that motivated you into this career of music?
Well, I love music, and I only loved really two things. I was really into music, and I was into sport. I was into soccer, and I wasn't at all academically minded. I found school difficult. I didn't enjoy it really, and I just wanted to get out. I was totally infused by the whole sort of Mersey beat thing as a kid, 12 years old. I saw the Beatles and the Stones and all these people playing in my hometown of Sheffield. And back then there were a lot of groups, a lot of bands playing. There were a lot of places to play, and I just wanted to be one of those guys. I wanted to be in a band. And as I say, in a way, it kind of helped me that the fact that I wasn't much good at anything else, that I had to try and make a career from music. So and I feel very fortunate to have done that.
I was reading something on your website, I believe, that it was actually a funny story that you'd mentioned about your childhood. Was it a teacher or someone in the community that had taken you to a coal field or a mining field, and you had the opportunity to see what was going on there, and that definitely wasn't for you?
No, it wasn't. I mean, back in those days, there was pretty much full employment. I came from Sheffield, which is, is an industrial town surrounded by, it's a steel town, and surrounded by coal mining also. It was pretty much full employment back in those days. And my folks were very, typical working class, and work was considered to be everything, to have a good job and all that. But, as I said, I don't think I was really cut out for it. I wasn't a big physical guy. I was only a small, skinny thing. I wasn't very academic, as I mentioned. And I'd already decided by the time I was in school that I was playing in semi-pro bands, really. And I knew that's what I wanted to do, but nevertheless, I had to go through the motions a little bit of pretending that I was interested in getting a normal job. So at age 15, it was coming up to leaving school. And one of the things we had like a careers master. That was their job, was to sort of point us in the direction that they thought we should be going in. And one of the things we did was we went down the local coal mine, and I got to say it was a pretty scary experience. And if I needed any more encouragement to avoid that kind of hard labor and to try and do something as a as a musician, then that was all the encouragement I needed, because it was a pretty scary experience.
It sounds a lot like, here in the southern portion of the United States. We're here in North Carolina, working in the fields. That was one of the things that I was, kind of comes to my mind when I was a kid. Hot sun, digging potatoes in the ground. It was not something that I wanted to do. So
No.
you mentioned football or soccer to those of us here in the States. Is there a certain team that you are a diehard fan of?
Oh, sorry. Did you say the team?
Yeah,
are you? I'm hearing you.
Yeah, are you a huge fan of a team there?
I'm a big fan. My hometown team is Sheffield Wednesday, but they're in the kind of second tier at the moment. Back in the day as a kid, that was my main interest. But I moved out of Sheffield as a teenager, to go out on the road, and I settled down in London. So I've covered many, many miles, I must say, over the years, trying to support my team. I still am somewhat of a diehard fan, and my sons and even my grandson I've passed on that cross that they seem to bear by supporting the local team. But I'm kind of losing a little bit of my love for the sport, because it's become so business orientated and so money orientated now that that's a little bit disappointing. But as I'm speaking to you now, I'm planning on going to the game at the weekend up to Sheffield, which is about a 260-mile round trip for me, which is quite a big deal here in England.
That's the definition of a true fan. Someone traveling that far to go and support their team. In 2012, you were the subject of an hour-long BBC special entitled "Paul Carrack, the Man with the Golden Voice." What was your initial reaction when you got the call that the BBC was doing a special on you?
Well, I was pretty happy about the prospect of being on the TV over here, because there was very little opportunity otherwise of getting that kind of exposure. There's not an awful lot, or a few years ago there wasn't an awful lot of music on TV, and it was predominantly, well, it still is kind of dominated by the major labels, all those kind of slots. They're few and far between, but the major labels have the first shout. So, and television being still a powerful media, it was. I thought it seemed like a good thing, a good opportunity, because for the last almost 20 years of my career, I've been kind of totally independent. Making my albums here at home. For my own little label, and we've done quite well in the UK building up this thing. It's pretty hard to do it in a global context, but it was quite handy. I was slightly embarrassed when they told me that they were going to call it "The Man with the Golden Voice," but that came afterwards, after we'd made the whole thing, and they said, "Well, what are we going to call it?" And I assumed they were going to call it "How Long Has This Been Going On?" Some bright spark came up with the idea of "The Man with the Golden Voice." So, a bit embarrassing, really, but there you go.
Well, for me personally, you were talking about doing things independently, record labels. I believe in 2000 you were still doing some stuff with Mike and the Mechanics at that time. Is that correct? When you did "Satisfy My Soul"?
Yeah. I'm not so great with the chronology and the dates, but yeah, I think I was still kind of involved with Mike at that time when I made the first album for my label. It was called Satisfy My Soul. That's right. But shortly after making that, we lost one of the founder members of Mike and the Mechanics. That was Paul Young, um, my fellow singer, and I think with hindsight, I think we should have maybe left it there. But anyway, I decided that I'd made a few albums over the years for various companies and what have you, and I didn't really want to go through that whole shopping around those guys, because I knew that they would want to have some kind of input, and I just wanted to make an album that I was happy with. And a good friend of mine, Peter Van Hook, he was actually also a founder member of Mike and the Mechanics, but he is a drummer, and he also played with many people, including Van Morrison, for 10 years. And Pete had some experience of starting small, niche labels. And he suggested to me, why don't you just do it yourself? And I must confess, I had very little idea of the nuts and bolts of how a record got to market. Or, I was only used to making a record and then handing it over. But I took Pete's advice, and I think it was a good call, because Peter's now become kind of my manager anyway, and I enjoy the idea of being. Well, it's not unusual now. It seems to be. Back 20 years ago, it was a little bit sort of scary, but now it seems to be the way a lot of artists are going anyway.
I feel like that is, many of the artists that I speak with, that's exactly what they're doing. They're doing their own thing, their own label, and I think it allows for the artist to not have as much of a box. Someone's not telling you the type of music that you have to record, and I feel as though it's a little bit better for them. I don't know how you feel, but with the albums that you produced, especially this last one that we're going to be talking about in a bit, it definitely shows through. I wanted to ask you about your songwriting and the music and songs that you've written throughout the years, not just for bands or yourself, but also, work that you've done for other people. Do you have a song that is a sentimental favorite, or are they all kind of like children? You love them all?
Well, I kind of I laugh a little bit when people talk about that my babies, my songs. I've never been very precious about the songwriting aspect. I've always been a little bit insecure about it, to be honest with you. I mean, it's not particularly innovative. My songwriting, they're very simple songs. So I don't think I have a particular favorite. Obviously, How Long, you mentioned How Long earlier, and that was one of the first songs I ever wrote, and certainly the first time I'd sang lead vocal on a record, and the first time I ever had any kind of a hit. So, and it's endured, it's stuck around. I mean, like I say, it's a very simple song. It just has a good hook to it and an atmosphere about it. So, I have to say that I'm very pleased. That was one of my best ideas, one of my good ideas.
I enjoyed the.
But I do think that I've written better songs since then that have not had any kind of anything like that kind of success.
I think that the arrangement that you did on the, I believe it was a Greatest Hits album that you did, the way that you basically, it's just you there on the piano doing the intro. It's just, really kind of a nice ballad portion. Then all the band follows in. I really enjoyed the way that you changed the song there a little bit on that album. And
thank you.
Me personally, and you probably don't know this, but here in North Carolina, we have a music that they call beach music. It's not like the Beach Boys. It's and you may have heard of it, may have heard of some artists that have actually covered some of your music. One song in particular that is one of my favorite songs of yours is "Satisfy My Soul," and that we have a guy here that he's a phenomenal singer. He's doing a collaboration now with they're called the Weight Band. They're basically a group of guys that used to work with the band members, and he does a great job of covering "Satisfy My Soul." And that was the
wow,
give it a chance. His name's Albert Rogers, and he does a great job. Yeah, the first time I heard it, he sang it at a wedding that I went to, and I had chills.
Yeah.
And so if it's okay with you, I'm going to take the audience back to 2000 to that album entitled "Satisfy My Soul," and let them listen to this song that's one of my favorites of yours, and we'll be back to talk with you just a little bit more. And this is Delane Hayes on Hayes' Hard Drive.
Satisfy my soul, let the day begin. Make the evening roll. Let the big sky in. Satisfy my heart. It's so good to feel. Love is all around, and all the hurt will heal. Oh, this is what my heart needs to feel. Oh, this is what my heart needs to feel. Satisfy my soul, take away this pain. Something has to end to begin again. Satisfy my heart. It's so good to feel. Love is all around, and all the hurt will heal. Oh, healing every moment, every wish you have comes true. Healing every feeling that is about to come to you. Satisfy my soul, let the day begin. Make the evening roll. Let the big sky in. Satisfy my heart. It's so good to feel. Love is all around, and all the hurt will heal. No, this is what my heart needs to feel. This is what my heart needs to feel. This is what my heart needs to feel.
Welcome back to the show. I've been talking with Mr. Paul Carrack, and we have been discussing the life and times of this amazing singer, songwriter, and it's been an absolute pleasure to be able to hear a little bit, just a taste of his life and what he has been doing. Now I want to talk about what he's doing right now. And in September of 2018, Paul released his 17th studio album entitled "These Days," and it is, as I was talking with you earlier, I think it's It's just a great album. It's well-rounded. It's got a lot of different tastes of music. And, I know that you're busy. I know you are touring yourself. You've been out with Eric Clapton doing tour dates. How did you find time between doing all this touring to write and record this wonderful album?
Well, I try to keep busy, and as I say, I'm still trying to do new things and make good work. So I have to find time. I mean, life's busy, I've got to say, but it's great, and I'm very grateful and to be in the position I am in, that I am busy and still get wonderful opportunities to tour with people like Eric. I've been playing organ in his band for the last 5 years, so that's been a fabulous experience. But my main bread and butter is my own touring band. We tour constantly in the UK and Europe, and I have a little studio at home, which is where I make most of my albums, over the 17 albums you mentioned. So still keep trying to write them the new stuff to keep people interested. I mean, we get a lot of people come and see us all the time, and they don't just want to hear the same old stuff. They want to hear some new things. So yeah. Keep going.
I know that you mentioned earlier in the interview, we talked about the BBC special, and I can tell that, when we talked about the man with the golden voice and the way that they did that, and you were kind of mentioning it was a little embarrassing, and you're a very humble person, and just the moments that I've had the opportunity to talk with you, you're very humble about yourself, about your writing. You were even saying that, you were, well, I don't know if my writing's really that good, and it's just amazing that for someone sitting on the other side of the line from you, who I admire your work, I admire your voice, and how great it is that that you're so humble about that. And the album that you have recorded is nothing short of amazing to me. And
well, thank you.
I just think that that's just so important, for an artist to know that his fans, the people that respect him, they truly admire what he does, and it is a gift. The album starts off with an upbeat tune. By the way, once again, it's entitled These Days, an upbeat tune called Amazing, and it's a toe tapper. And then it moves even into In the Cold Light of Day. And this one I really want to talk about, because it almost, to me, being in North Carolina, a southern state here in the U.S., it almost has a gospel, like a southern gospel feel. I feel like I'm about to go to church or something. Is that something that influenced you on that song, or was there something else there with that tune?
Well, I'm sure it has. I mean, I don't really know. I'm not really a music analyst, or I'm not even sure where these things come from. But I mean, I was very much always been influenced by American music, as have loads of people, and I don't know where the roots of it all is. I mean, as you say, I'm a English guy from up in Sheffield, but I started listening to people like the Beatles, who of course were influenced by American music, although we thought they invented music. I had an older brother who was into blues, and people like John Lee Hooker and Ray Charles, who I absolutely adored, And in my teenage years, soul music was very big amongst my peers, my friends, and I was in a little soul band that played around the places. Well, we loved all the normal. We loved Motown and all the great vocal groups, Temptations, Four Tops, and Marvin Gaye, and We also love Stax. You know, to us, this was just incredible music. But you know, as I say, the Stax and Atlantic, all that, Chess, all that stuff. So I can't say that I was going to, you know, a gospel church and hearing the kind of gospel choirs that would have been over in the States, but you know, so I don't know how or why this music got us, but you know, we've all been so influenced by it over the years, you know.
It's funny that
you mentioned that. Sorry, carry on.
No, I was just saying that you were mentioning some of the artists that you were influenced by, and you know, I was thinking about, you know, music as it moves along. You know, these artists that influenced you, you were influencing other artists, but you know, Ray Charles, you know, Marvin Gaye, influenced by the church, and so obviously that gets passed on to you, and it's that part of what you just said is amazing, that someone else's influences, you know, then influences you to make what you're doing. It's so amazing how that works. And you're all the way across the pond, and these guys are influencing you. And now you're influencing people back over here as well. It's amazing how all of it kind of makes a huge circle, right?
It is.
And I feel with Dig Deep that I've got a little Paul Carrack on my shoulder saying, hey man, it's okay. You can get through this tough time. It's a very highly motivational song during tough times. You have a bad day and Dig Deep comes on, and it's like, hey, you can make it through this tough time. Just dig deep. And, you know, then, you know, with the title track.
I have to give credit, of course, because 5 of the songs, there's 11 songs on the album. 6 I wrote by myself. 5 I co-wrote with my friend Chris Difford, from who I originally met when I was part of Squeeze years ago. And Chris, of course, he co-wrote Tempted, and he's just a fine lyricist. And the song you mentioned there, Dig Deep, I have to hold my hand up and say that Chris is the. I think I had the title, and I thought I wanted to do a song called Dig Deep, and just turned it over to him. And you know, he's a tremendous talent. So, as I say, I have to give him credit for that one.
Well, I was about to mention the title track. These Days, I feel like that one's a reggae rooted tune. So it seems as though, and I mean, I'm only talking about 4 of the 11 on the album, and I've already danced around in multiple different genres of music, and this is all just on one album. It just shows how eclectic the album is. And like I say, if you have not had a chance to listen to that, do yourself a favor and check out Paul Carrack, These Days. It's a great album. And I know that you are going to be doing, you had mentioned touring with your band. You're going to be doing a tour here in the States in September. Is that what you told me previously?
Well, I'm going to be in the States playing organ in Eric Clapton's band.
Okay, so you'll be here with Eric.
Doing a few shows over there, and which culminates in his guitar festival, which is, you know, supportive or in aid of basically his Crossroads.
Yes.
Charity.
And you're going
and the idea is that we are hoping, that is, when I say we, that's my people, my band, we're hoping to tag some dates on at the end of that excursion and do a few dates in America, because it's a long time since I toured under my own name over there. I would love to do it. I don't know what kind of crowd I can attract, but I would really dearly love to be there, because I love being in America. I love being in the States. It's the home of all this music, and it all makes sense, when you get there.
You'd be welcomed
So
here in North
I'm
Carolina, definitely.
very much hoping we can put that together.
Well, we hope so. We hope that you will be here in at least the southern part of the United States. That would be great. And I know that you mentioned Eric. You were in China with Eric, and now you're taking a little time off. You're going to be doing some rehearsing with him. What's it like, working with Eric and his band?
It's fantastic. Actually, we were in Japan, not China. But,
Japan, excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, I had played on a few of his albums in the past, just on a few tracks, but it was about 5 years ago. He asked me to go on the road with him on tour. I basically did what seems to be his last, major world tour, where we went all over the world with that thing, and it was just an incredible experience to be supporting an artist like that, and the incredible world-class musicians that he has, and to be kind of accepted and respected in that fraternity, I think was very good for me in many ways. And Eric's an incredible artist. He's got great musical integrity. He's just him. When he's on the stage, he's putting out what the real thing, and I think it's been a very, very important experience for me, and I think somewhat rubbed off a little bit on this new album these days, because anyway, so and to get to play with these world-class musicians has been incredible. In fact, one of the people that I got to play with in Eric's various lineups was Steve Gadd. The world-renowned drummer, played with everybody from Paul Simon, James Taylor, you name it. He's a drummer's drummer, and he's playing on this album, and that was a fantastic experience.
Well, Paul, I just really want to personally thank you for sharing your time with me. I'm such a huge fan of your work, and it's just been an honor to get the chance to speak with you this evening.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, and thanks for your time, and I hope we can get to see you later in the year. That would be great.
That would be wonderful. Off of Paul's recent album, These Days, it is the first song off of the album Amazing, and this is Delane Hayes, and you are listening to Hayes' Hard Drive.
Yes, it's amazing what love can do sometimes. When I think about it, we've come a long, long way. Living life together, keeping it real every day. I was traveling down the road to nowhere. No one else on earth seemed to care. Every time I turned, you were there for me. And yes, it's amazing what love can do sometimes. Yes, it's amazing what love can do. I've seen with my own eyes. It's amazing what love can do sometimes. People used to tell me Rome wasn't built it's amazing what love can do sometimes. Yes, it's amazing what love can do. Now I realize it's amazing what love can do sometimes. Long as the world keeps turning, lovers will always succeed. 'Cause where there's a will, there's a way. If you want there to be, I'll wake up with a smile on my face. Everything in life is in place. The future is ours to embrace this time. Oh, it's amazing what love can do sometimes. Yes, it's amazing